Good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Wong, and I have the great honor to chair this Department of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery and to represent the legions of people that have gone into the training and education of the 6 people you see before you. Rachel Bishop, James Mergelmeyer, Matthew Murphy, Eric Reimer, Jeff Rintel, and Mike Woodpeck. So as you can imagine, that this is a very, very unusual way for celebrating a graduation event. And a number of you have already alluded to that in your very, very touching videos that you left on the site as testimony to these individuals who are your family and your friends. I represent not only the faculty here, but I also represent all the other residents who came before this particular group, the residents who are currently in the program, the staff, the nurses, faculty from other departments, because it really takes a lot of people to train individuals to this caliber itself. So I'm sitting here in my dining room. I have an 80-pound dog outside, and I've got a number of family members, and I've tried to tell them to be silent, but if you start hearing extraneous noise during this proceedings, I hope you'll forgive me. So what I intend to do for the next 5 or 6 minutes or so is to kind of give you a little bit of an overview as to how we got to where we are, and then to maybe try to present, how we intend to conduct this evening itself. I want to thank Simon, for being the techno geek in chief. And he's the guy who is essentially controlling all the videos here, and also the speakers, the panelists, as we call them. So I spent today, trying to put together a talk, which normally we would just give extemporaneously, at the Petroleum Club. So the different individuals, that we have here, Rachel, James, Matt, Eric, Jeff, and Michael, have worked together for the last 4 to 6 years. There's been a lot of blood, there's a lot of sweat, certainly a little bit of tears, primarily from one individual. You already heard who that was from her video. And I think that they have turned out to be a fantastic group of not only surgeons, but also residents. In these very, very trying times, I could not think of a better group of individuals to essentially help steady the ship, accommodate to the incredible changes that were being asked of them, make sure that the department and all of our responsibilities were carried out, and to do so with such grace and with such determination. So as I was putting this talk together, I texted James and I asked him, I sort of said, well, whatever happened to that famous traditional life flight picture? Were you able to do it? I mean, knowing how difficult it is these days to be able to get into the hospital and how difficult it is to be able to arrange these types of things, I wondered whether they've been able to succeed. And so far they haven't, but as I've heard, I believe that Eric Reimer is going to be trying to organize something in the next 2 weeks before they leave. But we couldn't let this moment pass. So this is a picture from last year's Chiefs, all sitting upstairs on the top of the Herman Hospital helicopter pad with a traditional picture. But we've made some adjustments this year. And as you can tell, that even if they don't get up there to take their pictures on life flight, I have this version that I am happy to share with them so that they can take it home and put it in their memory books. So, every residency has a beginning, and the beginning of a residency is July 1st. So on July 1st, we bring everybody together and we have our first conference of the year. I can tell you that this is one of the early meetings in the year, and I know that because if you look around the room, you'll see not only all the first-year PGY1 interns there, but you also see all the chiefs there. I can tell you that as the year goes on, the number of chiefs attending conferences tends to decrease. It's known as natural attrition. So this year, with everything that we have had to encounter, huge changes in the way that we do everything, huge changes in the way in which we communicate with each other, and huge changes in the way that we give our lectures and our didactic content. Words like WebEx and Zoom and Skype and Blue Jeans and, technologies and platforms and all that we used to associate really with just social communication that really turned into serious educational and administrative tools itself. So, as we sit down and do all of our various meetings, and here's an example of our last meeting on Thursday with the entire department, with all the different faculty and all present, each sitting in their own remote sites and contributing. Now, in the bottom left-hand corner, for the residents who are on this call, you'll notice that there is a copy of the rotation schedule for the next year. And this is a very, very precious document. And I defy you to be able to get down in there and really try to read the fine print, because it's being changed as the moment goes on. So in addition to changing the way that we teach, we also had to change the way that we operate. The picture on the left really shows, how we were doing things maybe just 6-7 months ago. The picture on the right basically depicts, what it's like going to the operating room these days and having to wear all this additional protective gear. And of course, if you're lucky enough, you're able to get the queen of all protective gear, the so-called capper, which incidentally, the department and the alumni of our department actually purchased 5 of them for us, but we're still waiting for delivery of these devices. So, life has changed in so many different ways. I mean, this is some pictures that I took, representing the one on the left, shows what happens if you order food from a restaurant. They package it up in little bags and they stick it up on chairs and you have to drive over and pick it up. The middle and the last shot to the right show you, some very unusual pictures of the medical center being taken at 9-10 o'clock in the morning. Normally these streets are absolutely filled with cars, but this is all very silent, very desolate. So this has become the new reality and something that we're all going to have to adjust to. Social distancing, you've all heard about that. The need to keep 6 feet apart, the need to wear masks wherever we go. But remember, social distancing is also a matter of interpretation. And I found this rather amusing picture here on the right, of what social distancing in India means, because they basically comply by putting their slippers out there, but notice where everyone else is sitting on the sidewalk. So normally, tonight would be a huge celebration for all of us. We'd be dressed up in our finery and we would be going down to the top floor of the Total building in downtown Houston to the Petroleum Club, where we would celebrate our graduation and the presentation of certificates and chairs to our 6 graduating chief residents. So I believe that all the chairs have already been delivered to the individual chiefs at their home addresses. And I guess that's an advantage because you don't have to transport the chairs home from the Petroleum Club. The certificates will be mailed to you, and so you'll have the official copies in your hand by the end of the month. But instead of us being able to do it this way, we had to try to find an alternative. And so what we did was we actually went to a restaurant called Rial. It's a personal favorite of mine. I know that for a number of others here on the call, they've dined there as well and they enjoyed it. And Rial was kind enough, to cater a special meal for our chiefs. So a few hours ago, I asked the chiefs to basically send me some pictures. Now, Matt Murphy is having dinner at home because he has a family and young children that he wants to be with. But the others have all gathered over at Eric Reimer's place over here in West University. I want you to note their attire. They seem to have taken this issue of black tie very, very seriously. And they're eating a takeout dinner that was cooked for them by Riel. And in addition, as a special little gift to them, the pastry chef at Real put this little package together, and I was very impressed to see that they have a mandible in there. They have actually a suture packs. They have extraction forceps and even a bone plate. I'm not quite sure exactly where they got that inspiration from, but it is definitely very accurate. So at this juncture, what we're going to try to do is to move backwards and forwards between different speakers who are going to offer their contributions to the program. We're going to follow the same convention and have individual faculty present the different graduating chiefs, and the different graduating chiefs are going to have a chance to provide a response. We also have some special speakers, some special guests who will join at different parts of the program. These are individuals who are giants of the profession, people that all of us here have learned from, people that we have all been very good friends with, and we have treasured their contributions to the specialty, which we thought would be a very fitting tribute to the newest members of our specialty itself. So we're going to be flipping backwards and forwards between these different individuals. And so if there's a little bit of lag in the proceedings, I apologize ahead of time. So at this juncture, I'd like to invite Tim Warnley to basically provide a benediction before we start the actual official part of the program. So Simon, are you going to hand it over to Tim now?
Yeah, thanks very much, Dr. Wong. I'm going to hand over the baton to Dr. Warnley. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay, Tim, you're on.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Please join me now for our benediction. As we celebrate this important occasion, I would like to give thanks and praise to the graduates for all of their hard work and dedication to their education and patience. They have spent a large majority of their lives learning a craft to be able to help and heal others. I also want to thank the family, friends, faculty, and mentors who have helped these graduates succeed. My prayer is as they begin to serve in their communities, you would bless them with wisdom, courage, and to continue to gain knowledge so that they may be the best doctors they can be. God, I ask you to allow them to continue to graciously serve their patients, especially the underserved, and that they make a difference in this world. In God's name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Dr. Warnley. So I'm going to transfer the mic over to Dr. Wilson now, and I'm going to unmute him. All right, Dr. Wilson, you're on.
Good evening, class of 2020. Good evening, all of you, invited guests, family and friends, distinguished faculty, members of the Heinz Academy, and Dean Valenza. Yep, it's true. The situation is not ideal. You're being asked to find your way in the world in the middle of a devastating pandemic, a terrible recession, grave civil unrest involving serious issues. And by the way, hurricane season has started. To make matters worse, social constraints are in play that limit your 15 seconds of fame to almost a standalone situation devoid of the traditional pomp and circumstances. But the error here is we tend to think of only the negative rather than the broader message hidden in the reality, and that is you have an essential role to play in today's healthcare, and you are well positioned to do so. To the graduating class, this time will have a lasting effect on you. I hope you will take away, though, how important your services have been during this crisis. While it might be a little unsettling to see the number of implants and other elective surgeries almost vanish, I hope it's reassuring to realize that during this time, when only urgent and emergent surgery was deemed essential, the OMS service has been busier than ever, taking care of trauma and infections, which in fact has been the backbone of our profession. They have given us legitimacy, they have a solid footing in surgery, and have paved the way for even broader applications today in oncologic, reconstructive, and craniofacial surgery. Your real award tonight is the training you've worked so hard to receive. But make no mistake about your career. You haven't crossed the finish line. You're about to start the real race. Now, traditionally, graduation has been for the graduates and family, but this year, I think it's important to speak also to those about to begin and in the midst of their training in view of this COVID crisis. Some of you may have missed or had shortened important rotations. What about the future of this program? The impact of budgetary cuts. Well, no program will be immune from the devastation of the pandemic and recession. But here's where I want to give you reassurance by making some important observations. As many of you know, the OMS service has been very busy, even since the onset of the COVID-19. Its busyness attests to the vital role of OMS has and will continue to play in healthcare. Our program here at UT Houston is built on the firm foundation of managing acute care, trauma, and infections. It doesn't hinge on elective surgery. Fortunately, it has both. Considering the following. Our faculty is strong and diverse in training. They have distinguished records and solid training. Most of them are full-time and directors of the services at major institutions that are large enough to have their own program. We serve multiple institutions which have different funding sources. We are fortunate to have funding streams from the School of Dentistry, the McGovern Medical School, Harris County Hospital District, Herman Hospital, Methodist, Heinz Endowment, and the VA. We are not a boutique program located in one institution with a narrow agenda. We are well positioned to weather this storm. And finally, our chairman. Don't want to be sappy here, but leadership and accountability do matter. I've been here 19 years, and I have witnessed the support and nourishment given to the faculty and staff. I've experienced the dirty martinis, the angst and anguish attendant to critical junctions in the program and the unexpected events. Dr. Wong has longevity and heart, and I know that your well-being and educational advancement are paramount in the success of this program. Finally, in view of the fact that you're not having a formal graduation, I thought you might like to hear from a much admired and fellow resident from Parkland Hospital, who also did not have a formal graduating ceremony. But it certainly has not held back Dr. Tim Turvey, who only recently stepped down as chairman of the oral surgery department at the University of North Carolina and has made major contributions in our field. Too numerous to recite now. So Dr. Turvey has graciously accepted the invitation and say a few words, and I'll turn it over to you, Tim.
Am I okay, Simon?
You are, sir. You are. You're live on mic now.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jim. Greetings and my heartiest congratulations to each of the chief residents who are completing the program this year. When each of you reflect on your at least 26-year educational journey of how you reached the milestone, the story is different for each of you, and it's highly individualized. The single commonality of the story is the love and support of your families, who without them this journey would not be possible. Please join me in congratulating you and your families. They have sacrificed tremendously to assist you along your career pathway. The meaningfulness of the completion of your residency training program is not to be dampened by the current restraints of the global pandemic. I would love to be with you tonight in person, but unfortunately, I cannot. The celebration may be dampened, but the feat remains significant. You have completed your residency training program. You have chosen a very vibrant and dynamic specialty in what I consider to be the most noble sector of society, healthcare. Your sacrifices to reach this stage in your career are notable and considerable. Opportunities for you who have completed the program abound. Many of you will enter the traditional private practice community. Some may pursue another year or two of fellowship training in any of the 4 recognized subspecialty areas of oral and maxillofacial surgery, specifically oncological surgery, microvascular reconstruction, cleft craniofacial, or cosmetic surgery. Still others may pursue an academic career working in an institution affiliated with a medical or dental school, while others may pursue hospital-based practices in corporate America. Some may pursue research-based careers. Many of these opportunities were not available when Dr. Wilson and I completed our residencies at Parkland Memorial Hospital, and they certainly weren't available when Dr. Burtz completed his training at The Ohio State University. These opportunities became available because of the creativeness and innovativeness of our specialty. Keep in mind, they didn't just happen. Doctors Helfrich, Burtz, and Wong importantly recognized the need to alter the educational program in Houston. They worked endlessly and exhaustively with the hospital, the School of Medicine, the School of Dentistry to create an environment of excellence in oral and maxillofacial surgery from which you have all benefited. Historically, your program had a single leader, Ed Hines, and some very reliable other faculty, including Jack Kent and William Bell. The majority of activity centered around a single hospital, Ben Taub. The current program, however, has evolved to remain current with the sprawling medical center that you have in Houston. To his credit, Dr. Wong has recruited a world-renowned faculty and has grown and maintained significant inroads into the multiple hospitals in your complex and at the schools of medicine and dentistry. I use this as an example of someone who had vision, creativity, innovation, and perseverance. These same qualities are expected of you entering our profession. Your journey is just beginning. Have a vision, be creative, be innovative, be persistent. Importantly, be very reflective in exploring ways to enhance surgical care that you bring to society. Restoring and improving quality of living is your challenge. Darwin's postulate of survival of the fittest suggests that flexibility and adaptation are the hallmarks of survival. My experience in practicing our specialty confirms that Darwin was correct. Our specialty has experienced a complete overhaul in my lifetime, and there's no doubt in my mind that your survival in healthcare will require substantial accommodation as well. You will not practice the exact techniques that you have been taught during your residency. You have learned principles that are sound and will only change if evidence proves them unworthy. Technology will highly influence techniques, and this is where you must remain current. Commencement is the beginning of your careers, and continuing education is critical going forward. Disparity of healthcare availability is another challenge you will face. To remain a relevant surgical specialty, you will have to make your services available and affordable. You can do this without government intervention, but you will have to police this carefully to several of the national organizations that represent our specialty, specifically the American Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons, the American College of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons, the American Academy of Craniomaxillofacial Surgeons, and the American Board of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery. Don't just join these organizations, become active participants. Our specialty has experienced a renaissance in my lifetime, and there is no doubt that your survival in this profession will require nimbleness, adjustment, and accommodation. I am energized and excited for you, just embarking on the next phase of your careers. Opportunities abound, but so do challenges. You are a select group who have successfully navigated past challenges. I have every confidence that you will make our specialty better for our patients, and you will find it a very fulfilling experience. In closing, and in light of the challenges that you will confront, take the advice of a sage Chinese warrior, Sun Tzu. Know your adversaries well, keep your friends close, but keep your adversaries even closer. Thank you, and I wish you well.
Thank you very much, Dr. Grad. Excellent speech. So now we are going to turn our program over to Dr. Damien. I'm going to pass him the microphone here. So now Dr. Naji Damien, he's a professor in the Department of Oral Maxillofacial Surgery here at UT, and he's also the Chief of Service at Memorial Hermann Hospital, and he's going to be introducing Dr. Rachel Bishop. So Dr. Damien, I'm going to turn it over to you, sir. Okay. And your microphone is live now, Dr. Damien.
Thank you so much. Tonight I'm tasked with introducing a very special person, Dr. Rachel Bishop. Before that, I would like to congratulate all the class of 2020. You're all very special. You make our life very, very interesting, keep us on our toes and well prepared. And I know everything now is about doom and gloom, but let's face it, you were the only one tonight that were served with your own meals. We didn't get any. So that's a positive thing, a positive development. And you also will never, ever forget this graduation, nor will we or anybody else present there. So talk about positives. But tonight is Rachel's night. So Rachel, although she was born in Houston, her life took her many places, including to Gilmer, Texas, where she lived for many, many years. And you can tell how music influenced her family. Her sister is a famous artist. Also Don Henley, the Eagle singers from Gilmer. So here we go. She was blessed with a great family. She's blessed with a great family. She had many challenges that helped her develop into the person she is right now. She's the kind of person that you can tell right away how sincere she is and comes across as an honest, sincere person. And you can tell what she got this from her family, in particular her mother. And from one phone call, I could tell how sincere and gracious of a woman she is. And you can tell where Rachel got all that. She did go to Texas A&M, although I don't particularly think she's 100% Aggie. She doesn't really fit that mold. She doesn't fit any mold, as a matter of fact. She fit her own mold. She did go to dental school, and that's how I was introduced to Rachel. And this is a letter that was, given by Dr. Fry, who I didn't know before, but he has a reputation for being very, very honest, and he's a man of his word. So in summary, he has said that Rachel has incredible willingness to work hard. She has great honesty, desire to do her best in all endeavors. And, we were like influenced by all we hear about millennials. All that meant to me that she may show up. That's about it. But, well, show up she did. And not only she's honest, she's actually brutally honest. Rachel has also a very, very sophisticated way of peppering her speech with the F-bombs all the time. But she came across like a hurricane. No one was ready for how strong she is. Not only she showed up, she was prepared. She was honest. She took her job very seriously. She came before everybody and left after everybody. It was pretty much shocking. We weren't really prepared for somebody like Rachel, but she proved me personally and everybody around us very, very wrong. So stunning as it is for a millennial, not only she shows up and works hard, prepares, and even help others, but also she's willing to go the extra mile and seek the truth, and from where the truth comes. And here we can see with this picture with two of the greats in our profession, listening and learning from two of my mentors before. Willing to listen, work with others, spending the extra hours, going the extra mile, even thousands of miles to help people, and gaining everybody's respect. And she's such an easy, fast learner that you see in this picture. This is Dr. James Burse. He never really let me operate on his patients that quick, but this is Rachel's second case, and he was already letting her do tasks. Tells you how impressive of a surgeon she was. This is a picture from the Philippines. So yes, she's tough as nails. She's really honest, makes people very, very nervous. You may disagree with her, and I did, and I do disagree on a lot of things. But it's not about agreement with Rachel, as with many other people. It's about clarity. It is clear where she comes from. It is clear that she has ethics. It is clear that she's a good person and she cares for what she does. One great thing, or easy things, or good thing to know about people is how they treat people of lesser abilities or creatures that are weaker than us. And you can tell how kind of a person she is by how she treats animals and how much of an advocate she's for the poor or people who are underserved. And that came across quickly as honestly shocking how much she spent time taking care of her patients and how much she would spend extra effort taking care of them. So, of course, courage, seek courage, and she associated with Logan Banner. I saw these two when they first started dating. They tried to shop in a different town in Pearland. I lived in Pearland, and they were very shocked to see me in a store initially. So Banner is one of my favorite people I met ever. Very honest, very nice, super intelligent, hard worker, and he has a lot of courage. You can tell nobody would show their chest that way bare in this day and age with so much hair. So a lot of courage. It will take a lot of courage to do that. So I wish them both the best. But tonight, really, despite all the blessings and all the opportunities that Rachel had, it's a special drive in her that made her reach this point. So Rachel, this is for you. It's your night. It's your achievement. It's your success. And here's a certificate to prove it. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Damien. So I'm going to turn over the microphone now to Eric Reimer's microphone, because that's where the residents are located.
Not together, of course, but
Yeah, no.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Oh, hey. Yeah, so I didn't prepare a speech since I already had to do that ruling one that you guys had to listen to more than once. But Dr. Damien, that was really kind of you, everything that you said. And obviously I want to thank you just for everything that you've done in the time that I've been here. I know that initially there was probably like some skepticism about me just from, you know, how intense I am of a person, but you always found the best in me and helped me succeed. And so there's really not much more that I can say than thank you for everything. To Dr. Wong, to everyone, to Simon for setting this up, I really appreciate it. Otherwise, we would basically just not have a graduation at all. And it was actually really nice. We're all together, as you guys can see here. We're not wearing masks, which is awful. I'm sorry, but we're trying to drink drinks and it's just like impossible. Dr. Burtz, I know you're on the call. I want to thank you personally just because I didn't put you in my original speech because I knew you'd be on here live. And I just want to tell you thank you so much for helping me with fellowship and you know, recommendations and also just teaching me some of the cleft stuff that I had no idea about while I was in the Philippines. To my mom and sister, I know you guys are watching. I love you so much. I couldn't have done basically anything that I've done without you. You both listened to me cry like a million times. Also, Dr. Wong has too, but my emotions are probably worse with you guys than Dr. Wong. But it's just been a great ride, and I want to thank everyone for everything. Logan's over here behind me. I guess I have to thank him. We got married, guys. We got married at the courthouse, even though our wedding was canceled. So we did it. We're officially not living in sin anymore. So that's good. Anyway, I love everyone. Thank you, and cheers for drinking. You know, got the Yetis. All right, bye, guys.
Great. Thank you very much, Rachel, and congratulations to you for graduation, and also to you and Logan as well for getting married. That's amazing. All right. So next up, we are going to transfer the microphone to Dr. Jose Marchena. I'm going to get this over to him. Dr. Marchena is an associate professor in the Department of Oral Maxillofacial Surgery here at UT. And he's also the chief of service at the Ben Taub General Hospital, one of our hospitals with Harris Health System. So Dr. Marchena, I believe the mic is yours now. I'm going to unmute you, and it's all yours, sir.
Okay, good evening. Can y'all hear me?
We can.
Okay, good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to congratulate all the graduating class, Rachel, Jeff, Mike, Matt, and everybody else. And tonight I have the duty to present James Mogelmeyer, which is quite fitting because James was with us at Ben Taub during some turbulent times. And sometimes it is those times that really show the person for who he is. James is a wonderful gentleman. He's very relaxed. He's kind. He's inherently happy. He knows who he is. He knows what he wants. And that makes it very easy to work with him and to help him out. And I have this slide here just to tell you like exactly what James is. He's just a very happy guy. When he left Ben Taub, everybody missed him. In fact, every single patient for the months after he left kept asking, "Where's Dr. Mogelmeyer?" I was okay, he's not here. But that's the kind of person he is, and I think he's going to do very well because of that. James' secret weapon to success is James Mogelmeyer himself. He's the kind of person that patients would love, referral dentists would love, and his partners would love. And I can't emphasize it enough. And if you really want to go to this in check boxes, you know, he's very transparent person and he's very honest. This guy has never really played mind games with us, and he's just there, and you can read him. He's very generous, and by that I mean it doesn't mean that he's buying you lunch. He's generous with his goodness. He's always smiling. He's giggling in the middle of the chaos. You can hear him giggle in the background, and that's very refreshing for everyone around him. He's very humble. This guy is super humble, and that's it. There's nothing else to be said about that. And finally, he worries about his patients, and this is a key ingredient you're going to have when you deal with patients. I think sometimes we underestimate what patients feel or what they sense when they're sitting in a chair waiting for somebody to come in, and then you walk in, and they can sense it if you're somebody who worries. That is a very healthy thing at this stage, and certainly later on as well. So this is James now. You can see that he looks a little more mature. This is earlier when he was giving his presentation, which I thought him and I had a pact. We weren't going to do anything too fancy because I don't know how to do one, but I guess he did it anyway. But he has, he looks older, but he hasn't changed. His persona has not changed at all. Finally, I think, James is first deserves a handshake for his accomplishments. And this is the kind of handshake that when he lets go, you don't have to see if his finger is missing or if there's a thorn in your hand now. He's that kind of a guy. And James, you're going to be prime real estate in your practice, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So I give you this certificate for you to view, and congratulations, and I wish you well, and stay in touch with all of us.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Marchena. Okay, so I'm going to turn over the mic back over to the residents here. All right, you guys are back on.
All right, great. Thank you so much. I'm James Mogelmeyer. Thank you, first of all, to Dr. Marchena. I had the pleasure of spending 4 months with him in my chief year and countless months before that, and I appreciate him for putting up with me. As he mentioned, I probably worry a little bit, maybe a little too much, but I think at the end of the day, it does benefit my patients. So again, thank you for the kind words, and obviously pretty crazy circumstances Appreciate everybody for doing this virtual graduation and attending and celebrating our achievements. Pretty nice to be here with all my co-chiefs, given the circumstances. But I do want to reiterate what I said in my speech earlier. I'm just so thankful that everybody allowed me to get to this place in my life, all the attendings that helped me along the way. And I just appreciate all your guidance. And I'll definitely take everything you taught me and apply that to the real world. I do want to say thanks to all the residents before me who taught me everything, and hopefully the residents that are below me that I've taught you something and I've somehow changed your life in a positive way. So appreciative of my family. I want to thank all of them for tuning in tonight. They know that I love and miss them, but they've been my support system for the last 4 years, as well as my beautiful wife, Ashley, who's sitting right here next to me. She makes sure my shoes are on the right feet every day and, takes care of me. So I appreciate everything. Lastly, to my fellow co-chiefs, we've grown a special bond in the last 4 years. Some of us have been here a little bit longer, but I'm confident they're going to go out and change the world, and I'm just so happy for them. I wish them the best of luck. So thank you, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you very much, Dr. Mergelmeyer, and congratulations. So next up on the program, we're going to be introducing Dr. Hanna. So I'm going to bring him online here. Dr. Hanna is an associate professor in the Department of Oromaxillofacial Surgery here at UT. And he's also the chief of service at another one of our Harris Health hospitals, LBJ General Hospital. So I'm going to unmute him. Okay, Dr. Hanna, you're on.
Okay, good evening. Yeah, this is a little different, but it's actually refreshing to see that everyone has good spirits this evening. And I'm going to share a PowerPoint here, I think. And I think everyone can see that.
Yep, we're good. I can see it.
Yeah. So good evening. Thanks for joining us. It's tonight I have the great pleasure to introduce Matthew Murphy, graduate of the class of 2020. Tonight, he's accompanied in person at his home by his wife, Jessica, and his 2 boys, 6-year-old Elijah and 5-year-old Benjamin. He is also accompanied virtually by his father, Billy, and his mother, Denise, who are on the line. Here is Matt with his family up in Artisan Lake in Cleveland, Texas. I had no idea we have such a place. I guess Matt found it. I've been here 11 years. I have not found this place, but looks like Matt's having a great time with his kids and his wife, and he's gotten away from his normal duties. I want to congratulate Jessica for making it through the last 4 years and successfully growing these little 2. When they first arrived here in Houston, 2 beautiful boys, and now here goes the outcome. So Matt, you were able to get through 4 years and raise 2 beautiful boys with your wife and take them back to Canada. So Matthew, what you don't know, grew up in a small city in New Brunswick called, I'm going to butcher this, Matt, and I apologize, but Miramichi. So Miramichi, I was like, where is this place? Well, this is New Brunswick. You see it on the screen. This is the North Atlantic. It's probably pretty cold here. And as you come into the Gulf, it's somewhere in this area. So we're going to zoom in, and here we go. Miramichi. Who would have known? But the city is only 17,000 people. It's a little different from Houston, but I'm sure it made for a great childhood. And I'm probably a little jealous after I did a quick Google search of images of what Miramichi looked like. So as you get down on this river, you'll see that it's pretty scenic. So yes, this is different than Houston. Little small town, but boy, it makes for great pictures. I'm pretty sure the childhood was pretty exciting and probably a little stress-free compared to the city of Houston. So just going to show a few pictures just to give you a reference. Matthew enrolled in the Canadian Air Force in 2009, graduated dentistry from Dalhousie University in 2012. He was then posted at the Canadian Force Base in Gagetown, New Brunswick, as a general dentist. He spent 3 years there. In 2015, he was posted at 2 field ambulance in Petawawa, where he was placed in charge of mobile operating dental capabilities. And I was like, what is that? What is a 2 field ambulance in Petawawa? Well, this is the entrance to the field ambulance in Petawawa. And this is the field ambulance performing exercises. So after you find a little Google search, you find that they take this pretty seriously, and the locals in the area really celebrate the field ambulance. And, you know, Matt obviously ran the field ambulance for multiple years. So it just shows his hard work and his ethics. Matt's been a true pleasure to work with since day one. He brought a fresh and vibrant attitude to his work every day. He arrived with a smile, prepared with no excuses, no matter how tired or how hard the prior evening call was. He always came to work with the energy and kept everyone around him going. His demeanor always improved those around him. This was Matt from day one. This was Matt genuine. Those days that I knew Matt was going to be operating with me as my resident were days that I knew I could be at ease. He would come prepared to the operating room, and working with him was effortless and enjoyable. Even when draining pus during COVID days at Methodist, Matthew stayed calm and collected in his capper. So you saw it earlier. Yes, we were one of the first at Methodist to don these devices, and you know, early days of COVID where we didn't really know what was safe and what was not. You know, Matt just dove right in and didn't really ask many questions. I wanted to end by saying, if growing up in Miramichi results in more people with the sincerity, ethics, and genuine goodness of Matthew, I think we should all move there. So it is with great pleasure that I virtually deliver your certificate, Matt. I want to sincerely say, when I stop reading off of my speech, that you really deliver excellence. You are a sincere individual. Please carry yourself the way you have presented yourself to us and your patients in the last 4 years. And I know you'll do excellent and represent our profession to the utmost. I'd like to introduce Matthew Murphy, DDS, oral maxillofacial surgeon, a new friend and colleague to our profession. Thank you for spending the last 4 years with us, Matt, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hanna. All right, so we're going to move on now. I'm going to activate Matthew Murphy's microphone here. Okay, Matt, so you're live now.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Jan.
Sure.
And wow, thank you, Dr. Hanna. I really wasn't expecting to see all of those pictures. My hometown is Miramichi. A lot of people have difficulty pronouncing that. It's a native Mi'kmaq word, I believe. And those pictures really bring me back and make me miss home, as well as the field ambulance. I had a great time there. And you're right, they do take that very seriously. Thank you, Dr. Yun, for making this evening possible. I know you put a lot of hard work into this. Thank you, Dr. Wong, for allowing us to have this night. The Heinz Academy, we can never do it without you. And Kenny Allen, you've been the backbone of this program for many years that I've been here. Thank you so much. I'd probably like to say thank you again to Dr. Hanna. I really am honored to be presented by you this evening. You've really been a true role model and an inspiration to me throughout my residency. You've taught me a lot of very important and valuable lessons that I'll never forget. Maybe most importantly, that you can never be too cautious and to always have a healthy sense of paranoia. And now, don't get me wrong either. I mean, your sense of paranoia is probably beyond healthy, but I really have learned from that. And you know, as a surgeon, it's very important to know that no matter what level of training, skill, or knowledge you have, the strangest and most unexpected complications can and they do occur. And it's in those times where we have to go back to our fundamentals, the training that we've received, to the knowledge that we've learned to be able to handle those unexpected situations. We're all very good at managing the expected, but it's the unexpected that really brings out the true character and the true level of training that you have. I think all 6 of us graduating tonight have had an exceptional training, and we'll be able to manage any of those unexpected complications that are going to arise. And that is for the benefit of our patients. Probably above the individual skill and knowledge that Dr. Hannah helped to teach me is your really ability to manage things at a systems level. You do an excellent job at it, and I learned a lot from you on how to assess and evaluate and improve our specialty at really a systems level, which I think is going to go a long way in my career and help a greater number of people. Thank you so much for all of that. I really want to say thank you to all of the attendings and all of my faculty. The dedication that you put forward is incredible. I know that education can be very difficult. It's a very selfless and sometimes thankless job. But I want to say thank you tonight for all of the hard work, sacrifice that you guys put into that. Without the educators, there's no way that we would be here tonight to celebrate our achievements. And talking about educators, after watching tonight's videos, it was very unexpected for me to see my educators from as far back as my kindergarten days. That was incredible to see. And thank you so much to Ms. Hackett for sharing those blocks. It's probably my earliest childhood memory, and really it's probably where my foundation starts. Thank you to all of my educators from Nelsonville School, James and Hill Memorial, Dalhousie University. The foundation that I built at these places has really allowed me to build my success that I'm able to achieve my goals tonight. I want to say thank you to my beautiful wife. Without her, I wouldn't have been able to complete these last 4 years. She's made me the person I am. Thank you so much for being there for me today. Thank you to my boys, Elijah and Benjamin. There's been so many days that I've missed with you the last 4 years, especially in the first year. There's been so many days where I would leave before you wake up in the morning, go home after you're gone to bed at night, sometimes more than a week at a time. And it always made it worth it when I got home and finally see you boys, and they were so excited and happy to see me every time I walk through that door. It makes everything worth it. Thank you to the interns. You guys put in a hard years of work, maybe one of the hardest years of your life, and without you guys, we wouldn't be able to celebrate what we're celebrating tonight. Thank you all so much, and congratulations to all the interns for finishing the first year. You finally get a chance to breathe now in the second year. Enjoy it. And thank you to my fellow residents. You guys have been a blast to be with. I can't wait to get to join you guys again. Sorry that I'm missing this evening at Eric's place. But I'll see you guys again soon. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Dr. Young.
All right. Thank you very much for that heartfelt speech, Dr. Murphy. That was amazing. All right. So moving on now to our next speaker. It's going to be Dr. Shum. So I'm going to pass the microphone over to him. So Dr. Shum is an associate professor in the Department of Oromaxillofacial Surgery at UT. He's also one of our oncologic surgeons, and he works at multiple different hospitals. And he's going to be introducing Dr. Eric Reimer. So Dr. Shum, it's all yours.
Okay. Let's see if I got this right. All right, so good evening, everyone. Thank you again for joining us this evening to celebrate the graduation of our oral and maxillofacial surgery chiefs. Tonight, I am honored to introduce Eric J. Reimer. He began his academic career at Baker University in Baldwin City, Kansas, where he did his Bachelor of Science in Molecular Biosciences with a minor in Spanish, 2008, followed by dental school at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, from 2012 to 2016, and joining us in Houston in July of 2016. Now, getting into UT Houston is not an easy task. Eric has a very impressive transcript of a 3.93 out of 4 GPA in molecular bioscience, and a 3.98 GPA in dental school, and a class rank of 3 out of 106, and a summer spent at the National Institute of Dental and Craniofacial Research studying bone. Thinking back, after we interviewed him, I remember sitting there with the committee debating why he didn't have a 4.0. And why did we have to settle for a 3 out of, the third place out of 106? What happened to the 1 and 2? It was quite the debate until we reviewed his essay. And always, it always comes down to the personal statement. This is probably the most significant document that provides a glimpse into one's true being, their soul, and deepest desires and intentions. Most, if not all, personal statements begin with the moment someone realizes they want to be an oral and maxillofacial surgeon. And so I'd like to read some passages from his personal statement, and to help envision, these goals and aspirations that he had in the past, and have obviously come to light. I've enlisted my boys to portray a few of his sentiments. So let me switch back to. All right, Simon, do you see the QuickTime?
I see the QuickTime.
Okay, great.
The clock strikes 5 a.m. and the pulsating drone of my alarm rouses me into a semi-conscious, melancholic state. As my body adamantly detests even the thought of moving, I force myself to peel back the blanket I crawled into a mere 2 hours ago. Stumbling to the bathroom, I begin to recall the previous night, one filled with sutures, lacerations, and mandible fractures.
Hey, how's it going? What brings you in today?
10 people punched me in the feet. Zoe, help me. I was just minding my business and somebody hit me with 2 Bibles. Ow.
Realizing that sleep deprivation had taken its toll and that, in my current state, I was unfit for duty, I knew a trip to the nearby coffee house for a dose of caffeine was necessary.
6-shot espresso for Eric.
What I didn't know was that within the next 2 hours of this seemingly drowsy day, I would fully realize my passion for and commitment to a career in oral and maxillofacial surgery. As I have matured through both my undergraduate and dental school education, I have found that it is crucial to be a lifelong learner and to have an unending pursuit of knowledge. Sure, some days will be demanding and difficult, and even a trip to the coffee shop won't relieve the tension. But as an oral and maxillofacial surgeon, Who needs coffee when you can thrive off the emotions of your grateful patients? It's the heightened level of importance, difficulty, and the corresponding thankfulness and patience that make oral and maxillofacial surgery a step above general dentistry. It is for these reasons that I desire to continue my education in this field.
Okay, so let me get back to the PowerPoint.
Props on the video. So good.
All right, let me get back to figuring out what am I doing here.
Eric's offering to tell jokes while we wait, so.
Sure, okay. You see the PowerPoint again?
Yeah, we see it now.
Okay. Okay. This is the video part. So, you know, joking aside, Eric has experience and accomplished a lot during his time here in Houston with us. And at least according to his Instagram feed, here are a few of his highlights. Hurricane Harvey, his Bangladesh missions with Dr. Marshena, 2018 and 19, trails and biking, supporting the Toronto Raptors in their quest for the championship, juice, and many, many more happy memories that he probably forgot to post on his social media. Dr. Reimer is an exceptional resident, kind, intelligent, meticulous, easygoing, and precise. We almost outsmarted him to stay for a couple more years. But Houston bike trails, you know, don't really compare to Colorado's. This is the circle of resident life. There is a beginning that leads to another beginning. And so congratulations, Eric. I look forward to hearing of your future adventures and accomplishments. Good luck in Colorado.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Shum. Okay, so I'm going to hand over the mic to Eric now. All right, Eric. Dr. Romer, you're on.
Thanks, Dr. Shum. Well, now I know what you do on your days off. So that was a great video. Thank you so much. Thanks for that introduction. I just want to say thanks to first my family and my parents, my brother and my sister-in-law, and my grandparents and my aunt and uncles who are on the line. And this wouldn't be possible without their support. And then I want to thank the faculty for everything they've done for me for the past 4 years. I really appreciated everything and had a great time here in Houston. And I want to thank my co-residents, my co-chiefs, and I wish them the best of luck in the future. And I'm going to try, from this day on to make Shum City still go viral. So, I think this video, it could turn the corner for you, Dr. Shum. So, I think I hope everyone has a great night, and thank you for logging on. And I'd like to thank Dr. Wong and Dr. Young for putting this on, and I really appreciate everyone coming together tonight. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Reimer. Congratulations. We might have to use Dr. Shum's video for our recruitment tool next year. All right, so moving on now to our next speaker is going to be Dr. Craig Pearl. Dr. Craig Pearl, he's faculty also in the Department of Oral Maxillofacial Surgery, and he works at multiple hospitals, including Memorial Hermann, as well as Bentop General Hospital. So Dr. Pearl, I'm going to pass you the microphone, sir.
So when I was given the incredibly difficult task of speaking about Dr. Intel and instructed to make sure I say nice things about him, I was a bit concerned at the magnitude of such a task. The problem in discussing Jeff is what could I possibly say about him that he hasn't already spent many grueling hours telling you himself. The first time I met Jeff was midsummer here in Houston. So there's first impressions of Jeff, and there's your second first impression of Jeff. The problem, the first time I met Jeff was midsummer here in Houston, and he was wearing a jacket that had a light flashing on it. When I inquired what that was, he very excitedly told me it's his exclusive and very expensive heater jacket that he charges every night. I thought, well, that will be incredibly useful at 100 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 months of the year here in Houston. I thought, ask his fellow chiefs, tell me anything interesting about Jeff or some funny anecdote about him. The best they could come up with was that he regularly spent his weekends in the lab at the VA, helping the PROS residents with lab work, which may sound very strange considering his speciality, but I thought how fitting of the person he is. Struggling for more details, I thought I would do what any millennial does in this situation. So I became his friend on Facebook, and I did some stalking of his photographs and posts, and even I messaged his wife, Stephanie, who jumped at the opportunity to embarrass Jeff. The first thing you will notice is how Jeff looks when he's with his wife and how he looks when he's alone here in Houston with us. I asked her to tell me what was Jeff like at home. She said, well, he isn't great at housework, never cleans up after himself, has never changed a diaper in his life, sleeps a lot, and will do the bare minimum amount of work to get by. That made me very happy because obviously Jeff must feel very comfortable and right at home here in Houston, because that sounded like a pretty accurate description. In all seriousness, Jeff hasn't had the easiest route to become a maxillofacial surgeon. Having moved from Detroit in his third year of residency, he managed to fit in very quickly and become an integral and trusted part of the team. Jeff is very knowledgeable, he is kind, and he's a very competent surgeon. Jeff and his family have made massive sacrifices to get to this point, and although some of my best relationships may have been long-distance ones, it's not something that a young married couple would want. He managed to get back for the delivery. Of his second-born Samantha and spend time with Joshua, his little boy. What his wife did tell me was that Jeff will always fight for the underdog. He hates injustice. He will go out of his way to correct the wrongs of the world. She sent me an example of an email that he sent to a third-year dental student who had refused to give up a patient to a fourth-year dental student that needs to qualify unless they traded it for an endo. Now, unfortunately, I cannot read the contents of the email to all of you due to the language and threats of violence. You can see it yourself, but she was left with no doubt as to what Jeff thought of her. Let me conclude with some final words to Jeff and all the qualifying residents of the class of 2020. If I could offer you one tip for the future, N95 masks would be it. The long-term benefits of an N95 have been proved by scientists, whereas the rest of my has no basis reliable in my own. In 20 years, you will look back at photos of today and recall in a way you can't grasp now how much possibility lay before you and how skilled you really are. You are not as bad as you imagine. Don't worry about the future. The real troubles in your practice are going to be the things that never crossed your worried mind, the kind that blindside you at 4 p.m. on some random Friday. Don't be reckless with your patient's health, and don't put up with patients who are reckless with yours. Don't waste your time on professional jealousy. Sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind. The race is long, and in the end, it's only with yourself. Remember compliments you receive from patients. Onto your back, you'll miss that when it's gone. Get to know your kids, they grow quickly. Be nice to your spouse, they're the best link to your past and the person most likely to stick with you in the future. Respect your attendings and teachers. Be careful whose advice you take, but be patient with those who supply it. The knowledge we impart is a form of nostalgia. Dispensing it is a way of passing on a gift, wiping it off, painting over the ugly parts, and recycling it to you for more than it may seem worth. But trust me on the N95 mask. There's the N95 mask, and probably only me and Jeff will understand the significance of the masks on the left and the right. Jeff, although I joke with you a lot and give you a hard time, it's been a pleasure teaching you and watching you grow as a surgeon. You have my respect, and I wish you the happiest of travels and a blessed career. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pearl. Okay, I'm going to send over the mic back over to the resident side now for Dr. Rintel.
Thank you, Dr. Pearl, for those kind words. Thank you to Dr. Young and Dr. Wong for this evening. I'd like to thank Dr. Wong especially for allowing me to come to this program. There was a time 2 years ago where I needed a career life preserver, and Dr. Wong was able to help me out, and I'll be ever be grateful for this. I'd like to thank all my residents, the interns. You did a great job this year. The mid-levels, you did a great job this year. My co-chiefs that went around me, and Murphy's at home. You guys made me feel like I was one of the team since the first day, from holiday dinners, Thanksgiving, Christmas, inviting me along for the social events. I truly greatly appreciate it. I'd like to thank all the faculty for their time and especially their patience. And in regards to my family, my mother, my father, even Shell up in New York in COVID Central right now, they're all safe, but they're doing great. My in-laws, Steve and Arlene, that were able to watch my children, Josh and Samantha, while I was not able to be there. I'd like to thank my wife, Stephanie, who I've been with her for the last 10 years, and we've been apart away for five of those years. And I was told recently that we really have the long distance, we're the best long distance relationship this person's ever seen. And I plan on just making it, continue it as when we're back together in a couple of weeks in Florida. So I just want to finish off with just saying, I'm coming home and it feels good. So thank you.
Congratulations and thank you very much, Dr. Rintel. Okay, well, hey, looks like I'm next actually, so I guess I'll just bring back the microphone to myself here. I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Mike Woodbeck, so I'm going to. There's Dr. Woodbeck sitting down there. Now I'm going to share my screen. Drink up, Dr. Woodbeck. Enjoy that. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so someone please give me a thumbs up. They can see my screen because I can't, I don't have any. You got, okay, excellent. Okay, well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Michael Woodbeck. And since we're not doing this in person, I really can't see how many people truly in the audience have fallen asleep or already falling off their chairs and too much boozing in the comfort of their own home. And look, the residents are well on their way. So, but regardless, I'm sure Mike will take good notes for his rebuttal after I'm done roasting him for this amount of time. Firstly, I have to admit that preparing for this introduction was not as easy as I'd hoped. So, you know, I've worked with Mike for the past 4 months straight now, and you know, landing a rover on Mars and finding remnants of an advanced, long-lost alien civilization would probably be easier than digging up dirt on this Boy Scout. And believe me, I've tried very hard. Over a month ago, I contacted his wife, Allison. I contacted past residents who knew him in the military. I even emailed folks to ask classmates as far back as his days at the University of British Columbia Dental School about any shenanigans. And, you know, week after week, I would wait by my email inbox, hoping to receive, you know, juicy details of past exploits. And it would always be the same thing. Sorry, Simon, there's nothing really negative to say about Mike. He's just an upstanding human being. Nope, sorry, Simon. I've asked around and no one has anything funny or embarrassing to say about him. Sorry, I dug deep into his past and all I found out about Michael Woodbeck of, at the time, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, is indeed he is a recipient of the 2012 Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal for significant contributions and achievements. So yes, he is a Canadian hero as recognized by Her Royal Highness. So with my hopes dashed for discovering anything really scandalous about this guy in the past, I've really just had to resort to rampant speculation and conjecture. So here's an example for you. So for those of you who have worked with Mike, nothing really works up Mike. You go up to him, bad day. This is Mike. Yep, bad day. Good day. Yep, it was a good day. Best day ever. Yep, best day ever. Same straight face, same tight smile every time. I mean, this guy's so calm and cool and collected. I mean, and there are times that this really comes in handy, right? I mean, a few weeks ago, one of our patients couldn't be intubated or ventilated when they were starting anesthesia. And Mike just calmly takes the knife and slashes the guy's area open and saves his life. No drama. He just gets right to it. No muss, no fuss. But do you know the kinds of people that are able to do hair-raising acts without any emotion? I'll tell you. So, race car drivers are an example. Free soloists, they're another example. Motorcycle stunt performers, and, just saying. So, although he has definitely a passion for cycling, it's really the one thing he loves talking about. It's getting on his mountain bike and hitting the trails with Eric Reimer. And, you ask him, how did you get that gash on your arm? Or why are you limping into work? And it's probably because he and Eric were jumping off ramps, with their bikes and smashed into trees nearby. And no biggie. I mean, this guy was in the Canadian military for 8 years. And, he's a tough mutter, right? Just like this guy, just like another good-looking fellow. And, I started thinking about the similarities. They both love cycling. They both clean up pretty well. They both have beautiful spouses. They have both spent a lot of time in Texas. They have both lived picture-perfect lives, right? I mean, Lance he won the Tour de France 7 consecutive years. Mike has been the epitome of a perfect resident for 6 years. So, what will the future bring for Mike? I mean, I'll leave that up to you to decide. But, coming back to reality and characterizing Mike based on what his loving wife, Allison, and his assorted friends have actually said, this is what they wrote to me. So 1, he has an aversion to sunlight. He always wears excessive sunblock. He always dresses nice. He has a 0 tolerance for anything but perfection. But, I think one of the most interesting comments actually was that they say he bears a striking similarity to this creepy guy in Charlie's Angels. I totally saw that. But you know what? That's all I got. I mean, all this razzing aside, this is all his friends and family sent me. I really couldn't dig up any more dirt on Mike Woodbeck. And, personally, I've always been so very impressed by Mike's integrity, his patience, and his grit. He's constantly asking himself how he can be a better surgeon himself, as well as bettering the team around him. And, despite working with him for a number of years, I'm constantly surprised and impressed by these small flashes of humanity that sort of bubble up beyond this robotic exterior every once in a while. And yeah, he actually has a warm, fuzzy side. And so Allison told me of a time, when Mike was in dental school and he just found out that his friend had a cancer diagnosis. And, Mike, he hit the library for days and he did all this research on treatments and summarized the whole thing for her, much to her surprise. Maybe that's what got him interested in medical school. Or the one time, Mike found a buyer for his old cell phone through Craigslist, and he goes to meet this guy, and he finds out the guy doesn't have much money. He just gives him the phone. And apparently when Mike was in private practice, he just performed tons of free treatment for his patients. So, it's a good thing he married a very savvy businesswoman because, he'd be broke already. But to be honest, what I love most about working with Mike is really never having to worry. Talk about a leader with exceptional people skills who really knows how to manage a team. I mean, he's been doing it for years in the military, obviously, and it really showed during his time as a chief resident at LBJ. I mean, not only does Mike know how to manage down, but he also knows how to manage up. So in other words, I never had any new gray hairs at the end of his 4-month rotation. I mean, he set the bar very high as a leader with strong convictions and held everyone to the highest standards, including myself. And you can tell that Mike doesn't like lazy people. I mean, he has a really hard time relating to them. Here's an example. I mean, Allison said they got married on June 29th at the end of his intern year. And because he was on call that night, he ended up getting McDonald's for Dr. Shum's dinner and didn't even stay home. He really does lead by example. And, and Mike isn't just good at handling faculty and residents. I mean, he really knows how to manage some of the most difficult patients. I mean, I remember we had a very scared and very difficult 6-year-old girl come into our clinic a few weeks ago just for a small procedure, and no one could calm her down. I mean, she was literally running around the clinic crying and screaming, and we'd practically thrown up our hands thinking, nothing can be done. I mean, we're just going to have to put this little girl under general anesthesia to perform any sort of procedures at all. And Mike, he just stands up and goes into the room and he says some words, and she let him complete the entire procedure, start to finish. It was incredible. I mean, I was absolutely awestruck. And so, I asked him, I said, what did you do? And he simply said, well, I just made her breathe through her nose. You can do anything once you get a kid to breathe through their nose. That's the trick. So, I tried that in an attempt to get my 6-year-old to eat his spinach. I did the exact same thing. And, it didn't turn out so well. So, Mike, open invitation to you to come over for dinner one night and babysit the kids anytime, honestly. So, in summary, I have to say I'm very excited for Mike. He's going to be joining the practice with Dr. Jonathan Junt in Colorado. And as much as we're going to miss Mike, I know he's going to be such an incredible asset to his new group. Honestly, if the worst thing they can pull up on his background report that he got a black eye playing ultimate frisbee, I mean, they have definitely nothing to worry about from this guy. So, Mike truly represents what Dr. Halstead expected of the surgical healer, right? He has the authority to practice oral and maxillofacial surgery stemming from his considerable knowledge. He has the skill acquired from years of residency training in a considerable variety and breadth of procedures. He has the wisdom from his experiences and perfectionist eye for detail that we all know that he has. But most importantly about Mike is his integrity. And I know, and we all know, he will always do what's best for his patients. So I'm happy to present a copy of his residency certificate to Dr. Woodbeck. I'm so very proud that we're graduating a resident of such a high caliber. I'm honored to be his colleague and as a fellow oral maxillofacial surgeon. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Michael Woodbeck. All right. So I will unmute Mike Woodbeck. There again, I'm going to mute myself. All right.
Oh, thank you very much, Simon. I was a little worried when you had me. I know you do a lot of research, and I realized that you didn't quite have the gall to go after Rachel, though. So you came after me instead. So you couldn't take that heat, but that's okay. And for those that don't know, Dr. Young, who's very distinguished within our department, he's the guy that's been COVID tested more than anybody else. So he's any other faculty, even Dr. Hannah, he's just amazing that he's been COVID tested more than anyone else. Also he does have a PhD and an MD and very great researcher as well too. So I thank you for your kind words, and you just got to pick the right friends, I guess, is the key to things, and they just know not to bring up the terrible things along the way. You can hide your serial killer past, I guess, is the key to it all. But and also I really got to thank those friends for not bringing up any embarrassing moments or pictures or anything as well too. So I guess the key is to pick the right friends. And I'm very thankful for everybody along the way that have taught me so many things, and and also the substantive arguments. If you know anything about me, I really like a good back and forth. And to those that can deal with that, I really appreciate it, because I find I learn the most from those people that are willing to kind of go for some back and forth kind of blows, and make a good argument about what we're going to do as well too. And then also my co-chiefs as well too. Matt, James, Eric, Rachel, and new Danny here as well too. Rintel. It's been been a great ride, and thanks to everyone, and also to all the residents and the interns. I hope that I've been able to impart some skills and wisdom to those as well too. I did try and take the last year to make sure that I imparted some teaching to those around me as well too. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Woodbeck. Thank you very much. Okay, well, congratulations again. It's been excellent. So, next up, so that finishes up the introductions of our residents. So, congratulations again to all of you. Wonderful speeches. I loved some of those introductions, and also just seeing all those heartfelt greetings from your friends and family on the Flipgrid. That was really great. So next up, we are going to we're going to get Dr. Burtz up on the virtual stage here. I'm going to pass the mic to Dr. Burtz. Dr. Burtz was a professor. He was in our department for many years, and he was actually at UT probably about 20, 30 years ago. And then he went away for a short while and then came back to our department for many years. And I was very fortunate to be able to train under Dr. Burtz. It was such a wonderful experience operating with him. Unfortunately, because of COVID, again, we're not able to have everyone up here in person. So Dr. Burtz is actually joining us all the way from Arizona. And I think he's in his office right now. I think I can see him there. So Dr. Burtz, if you're ready, sir, you're unmuted now. So anything that you'd like to say, you're on the mic is on for you now, sir.
Thank you. To all, I appreciate this opportunity to participate in this different celebration of your hard work and dedication to many ideals and goals. Congratulations to the graduating residents. You have multitasked for many years, performed with excellence when your body wanted to be sleeping. To the remaining residents, you have 1 year less in the arena of a resident training. Go for it. To the new incoming residents, you must decide this too shall pass. Sir Isaac Newton in 1722 said, "If I have seen further, it is because I have sat on the shoulders of others." Two books that I'm going to show you represent the Newton phenomenon. This is one recently published by the department. It is an excellent book, and it puts us ahead of the ball game. The Blue Book is the product of multi-people working. It is rich with knowledge for others to use in patient care. Each generations of surgeons should improve patient care, and this book helps. The authors and contributors have seen further because of their standing on their mentors' shoulders. The Brown Book is this book, and it's about someone who you know is a legend in our institution in Houston. I knew Red Duke for some 52 years. The first day I walked in Parkland Hospital, I ran into him, and he showed me the oral surgery clinic. It is doctor's history of coming to Houston from Afghanistan. He started a medical school in Jalalabad, and he soon turned a trio of Cooley, DeBakey, and Lee Clark, all major forces in that institution of the Texas Medical Center, into a quartet. Soon after arriving in Houston, he knew what to do. And I want to give you some examples of people who in oral and maxillofacial surgery and in surgery have done what we're talking about, i.e. the Newton phenomenon. Dr. Robert Walker was treated or taught by a number of people in the Army. Boudreaux, who became the chief at LSU, P. Earl Williams, and Ben Wilson, who was the chief of surgery there. Duke had Shaw, a cardiac or a thoracic surgeon who treated Governor Connolly that day. Bob McClellan, who happens to be from Gilmer, Texas. And I will say more about Gilmer later. Dr. Wong has in his repertoire Marks, Hines, and Duke. Dr. Wilson, Walker, Melville, Marks, Truson, Chum, McIntosh and Dirks, Young, Wong, Wilson, Mitos, Marchena, Cabin, and Kent. We all have a pedigree, and it sure shows. I wore maize and blue for Melville because Michigan has taken such an ass kicking during the last 9 years of the November football games that I wanted him to feel safe. Duke and Shires, of course, need no introduction. Bob McClellan, who was born and raised in Gilmer, Texas, is the most intelligent person I ever met until I met Dr. Bishop, and I think she gives him a run for his money. As you probably know, McClellan developed and nurtured selected readings, which is a force in surgery. It's a must read. So the Newton phenomenon of pedigree and where you train has to do with improvement in surgery, such as the blue book that we talked about, and it occurs in every generation, or at least it should. I feel sorry for Dr. Melville because I'm afraid that Michigan is going to go down for another fall. But one of the things I want you to remember is that look for things in other surgical areas that may be helpful in our own area. Always look at the applicant's name and where they are born and raised. And if it's Gilmer, Texas, be sure and take them. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all this evening and look forward to seeing you really. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Burtz. No, it's amazing hearing, you know, your experiences, and, you know, it's an honor actually just being in a ceremony where so many of my mentors are here on the call. And it's so neat actually that we have an entire new generation now of graduating residents, and, you know, they will mentor their own, you know, younger generation. So it's a wonderful evening. So thank you so much, Dr. Burtz. We really appreciate your time. Okay, so now on next, we are going to bring back on Dr. Wong, and he's going to be introducing the new residents. So just in time for us mentioning the next generation. So I'm going to pass him the baton. All right, Dr. Wong, it's all yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Simon. I'm trying to bring back up my screen. I'm actually going to do things a little bit out of order now. One of the great advantages of doing something like this is that you have the ability to be able to change things on the fly. So the first thing is that, well, you know, Jim Burtz, thank you for a very, very inspiring speech. And so I'm going to actually do what you call a retroduce, you know. So I'm going to actually introduce you after the fact. So Jim Burtz, you know, has been an icon in the specialty for many, many years. I'll tell you how significant he is when I tell you that the person who signed my board certificate as president of the American board was Jim Burtz, and that was a long time ago. Jim Burt's was also one of the principal reasons why people like Jim Wilson and possibly Tim Turvey also decided to go into academia. Because Jim, before he decided to move to Houston, was actually a full-time faculty member at Parkland and Dr. Robert Walker's right-hand person. So Jim had a lot to do with influencing, that entire golden era of residents that came out of the Parkland Memorial Program, which, that group collectively has probably contributed more to oral and maxillofacial surgery globally, as well as in the United States, than any other single program. And I always, say that we would like to be the Parkland of the future. So Jim, left Parkland and came to Houston to go to medical school at Baylor, which he did. And then upon graduating from medical school at Baylor, he actually joined the faculty of the University of Texas as a member of the medical school faculty. And in a very short period of time, he actually rose to be the Associate Dean of Student Affairs and of Admissions at the medical school. So Jim was a longstanding member of the University of Texas Medical School and the Oral Surgery Program when the chair of the department was Ed Hines. Jim was actually on the fast track to go up to Austin to become, one of these major administrators. And then for reasons probably only known to Jim, he decided to suddenly change course and go into private practice in Arizona, which where he has been. About 15, years ago, we managed to bring Jim back, as a part-time faculty member. And he spent time shuttling between Arizona and Houston. And, and that's how he got to know a number of the people in the program itself and has continued his connection with us. So, as a retroduce, Dr. Burtz, you are really one of those sort of people when you want to talk about pedigree that people, want to say, that they have that association with you too, Jim. And, we really value not only your contributions, but your friendship. And we really look forward to continued involvement. And I know you're going to enjoy this next part, so before we actually introduce the new residents and to the program, this is the part of the program where I usually try to provide not so much to the residents who have probably heard this talk, anywhere from at least once to up to 5 times before. And I know that the faculty who are alumni of the program have probably heard it, more times than they wish. If we were doing this in real person versus the virtual sort of crowd, most of the faculty by this time have, stood up from their tables and headed over to the open bar, but we can't necessarily do that now. But this is the time that really for friends and family of the residents who don't really understand what their loved ones have completed in the last 4 to 6 years. I'm going to give you a little bit of a background and history as to the whole concept of residency training. So a lot of this really starts up in Baltimore, with Johns Hopkins Medical School, not the oldest medical school in the country. I mean, Harvard has that distinction, but certainly probably the most influential for a lot of different reasons. Hopkins was founded in 1889, and it really became the model for medical education because not only did it have the stature of an already, established college system. Johns Hopkins University as a whole was very well respected at that time. But it was also able, to recruit a number of great innovators in education. So, their model for medical education, as you could see from the slide over here, really, presages a lot of the current practices for medical or dental school, to this day. For a start, they recognize that medicine or dentistry was really a graduate course, and before people could embark upon it, they would need, some basic training, and so college, was a requirement. They were also incredibly progressive, and in an era, where it was definitely a male-dominated society, they had essentially an equivalent male to female male to female acceptance rate. And they also recognized that at the end of a formal graduate education in medicine or dentistry itself, individuals would need additional training beyond that. And that's where the whole concept of a residency was pioneered. A lot of the people who were involved in this are considered to be the founding fathers in medical education, the so-called 4 doctors seen over here. William Welch in pathology, an individual who had a lot of training in the military itself, was the one who first came up with the idea of a formal residency. Colleagues of his that were already at Hopkins are some of the giants in the profession. And so in medicine, Sir William Osler, actually a Canadian, as well, who was transplanted down to the United States. William Halsted, who Simon already referred to, known as the father of American, North American surgery, and Howard Kelly in gynecology. And these individuals helped to develop the whole concept of a surgical residency itself. Also, is a very, very interesting sort of person, he was a terrific surgical innovator and a pioneer. His contributions to surgery are legendary, from everything from the concept of a surgical glove, which is interesting in this era, where we're so concerned about the protection against organisms cells. So the surgical glove, the mosquito hemostat, to stop bleeding and to pick up, fine pieces of tissue. But his innovations went beyond just instrumentation itself. He was the first to develop the concept of a surgical chart, knowing that a patient's management relied on good communication from person to person, and so he wanted this stuff documented in a formal chart. He was also responsible, for developing operations, such as the cholecystectomy for the removal of gallbladders, that were diseased. He recognized, that individuals, who had undergone some major surgery itself, had lost blood, needed to have blood, given back to them. And so he was one of the first pioneers of blood transfusions. He was a major contributor to, to aneurysm surgery. And so therefore, one of the forefathers of cardiothoracic surgery itself. And eventually, later on in his career, when he realized that surgery was such a broad field, that no one person could be a master of all, he essentially was prepared to develop subspecialties such as otolaryngology, radiology, orthopedics, neurosurgery itself, to name a few. So, Halsted as an individual had a lot to do with the foundations of surgery, and his educational philosophy was really, based upon the concept of a surgical residency, starting with an internship. So for all the new first-year residents who are starting with us, you're probably happy to note that, Halsted's concepts are not entirely followed because, his business was that the length of an internship was undefined. Individuals were only advanced and promoted once he believed that they were ready, So you've heard many of the chiefs already speak to the fact that you'll have a very, very tough first year, but after that, you'll move on. In Halsted's era, that wasn't the case. They didn't move on until you felt that they were ready. So, be grateful for that. In Halsted's model, the internship was usually followed by, an additional 6 years as an assistant resident, and then a final 2 years as a house surgeon, or we would consider that to be a senior resident, a chief resident. So the model, pretty much stands from the 1800s right up until now, in the 21st century. individuals who went through that entire process. You know, Harvey Cushing, you know, the father of neurosurgery, Walter Dandy, all these people itself, you know, were essentially graduates, if you will, of this process, and they have helped to perpetuate, you know, this model for training. And as already, you know, has been alluded to by Dr. Burtz, you know, we have had our own Houston heroes who have done the same sort of thing. People who have basically practiced and lived the life of educators and consummate mentors itself. And you know, Red Duke, who I had the pleasure of knowing when I first met here. This is a picture of Jim Wilson, who was then president of the Houston Society, you know, presenting to Red Duke, you know, our Heinz Academy Ray Reid Award, you know, in honor of all of his accomplishments as a surgical educator, but also his recognition of oral and maxillofacial surgery as not only a legitimate surgical specialty, but a major contributor, you know, to the Houston healthcare environment itself. So, you know, the model that was prescribed by Halstead involved, you know, morning conferences and an emphasis on the didactics itself. We do the same to this day, you know, morning conference, though, as we already alluded to, the form of the conference may be required to change as a result of our, you know, current pandemic. But it is my hope, you know, that ultimately we'll be able to return to this sort of environment, because not only does it allow us the opportunity to present material, but it also allows us the opportunity to have personal interaction, which unfortunately we're not able to do. It also allows us an opportunity to make sure that people, you know, dress up and recognize the importance of these sorts of events. And it also allows us to see if people are not paying attention, you know. So, you know, unfortunately, with the virtual sort of model, you just have to turn off your camera and we don't know whether you're there or not. The other component of a surgical residency is obviously, you know, the surgical and clinical training itself. And, you know, this is a picture of the famous Heath Dome over there, the surgical amphitheater at Harvard. This is our modern, you know, sort of picture of the same. We don't necessarily have the people, you know, in the peanut gallery watching down upon us, but it's still otherwise very, very similar to the way we have it before. So to the graduating chiefs and everything else, you know, there was a beginning. You are now experiencing the end. Really, really happy that over the years that you guys have been able to form the bonds and the connections and all, which a program of this size, you know, it's hard to do because we have so many people from such diverse backgrounds, different tracks, but you're able to bring things together. Matt Murphy, you know, what a resourceful guy he is. He's able to not only drink his beer out of a glass, but he's also able to drink his beer out of a light handle, you know. So this is the kind of innovation that we expect. This is a picture, you know, that probably shows, you know, at the very start of the residency program, Dr. Poseidi has a surgical skills lab in which, you know, we have this sim man and we take the first year residents and teach them some basic surgical skills. And it's pictures like this, you know, that sort of help to memorialize, you know, what the whole process was all about. You'll notice one thing significant is that Eric Reimer's hairstyle has changed over the years. You know, it went from a very spiky, you know, sort of I don't know, what do you call that, gelled up look, you know, to the flattened appearance, you know, of later on. So, you know, lots of pictures of the residents getting together and drinking. You know, I guess that's really just part of the whole legacy here itself. You know. And learning from the best, you know. That picture on the left I found particularly intriguing. You know, I think it was Craig Pearl just sort of showing Rachel, you know, all the different areas where you inject Botox. So, you know, in the final analysis, you do to me and I do to you as well. This picture, James Mergelmeyer showed me, I said, you know, you really just can't win. Honestly, you know, with this number of, this amount of hardware that you stick on your belt itself, it's a wonder your pants don't fall down, you know, but this really does represent, if you will, you know, the diverse sort of program that we have and the number of hospitals and all that we have to cover, so that when people are on call, you're covering not just a single hospital, which, you know, is the way with a lot of programs, but you're really covering the entire Texas Medical Center, you know, which is the largest medical center in the world. And it's a daunting sort of prospect, but, you know, it can't be done, you know. So with all of this, pictures of exhaustion and tiredness, you know, and you may have seen some of these pictures before, but, you know, when I asked the residents to send me some of the most memorable pictures, you know, they all featured people sleeping, and they all featured animals, you know. So, you know, two things, residents are tired, but residents also gain great comfort from their furry pets. Or they can gain comfort also from their children. Now, except for Dr. Rintel, as you see over here on the right, oh, you know, I really should have done a broad screen sort of things. You know, Dr. Rintel, you know, here on the right. So, as you know, Jeff has had a distant relationship with his family for a number of different years. So I don't know quite what he's doing over here, but I can imagine that maybe he's trying to communicate with his young son in Florida whilst he's here in Houston. So, so the residents, you know, they're a very, very important part of the program for so many different reasons. They not only provide a service, you know, to all the different hospitals, but they also help us in our educational mission. So, you know, everything from the Sublime, and here are all the individuals who are volunteering to teach a suture lab to the undergraduate dental students, you know, at the dental school. A very important connection for us, you know, because we are a specialty of dentistry, and we want to make sure that they don't forget about us in this era. So regardless of what it is that we do for 90% of the time, there's still one part of it, you know, that we need to recognize involves, you know, our connections with dentistry itself. So, you know, when we're not doing that, this is what we do for the 90% of the time. And, you know, as we talked about before, you know, our department has continued to work throughout this COVID era in a very, very intense way because, you know, of the sort of things that we do, whether it's infections, whether it's trauma, or in this case, you know, doing one of these major head and neck cancer resections and reconstructions. The cleft trips has also, you know, been referred to in the past, but I do want to remind everybody that we are a global program as well. So not only do we have an influence here, you know, in our own local community and our national, you know, community, but we try to support, you know, the efforts of those members of our faculty who have decided, you know, to increase, you know, their contributions, you know, to worldwide healthcare. So Dr. Marshena on the left with Dr. Aziz, you know, they run Smile Bangladesh. They go every year to Bangladesh and they do, you know, surgery and treatment for cleft palate patients over there. Eric Reimer has been with them on several trips. And on the right, you know, this is the trip that Jim Burtz and Tom Williams have been, you know, part of in the Philippines. And, you know, Dr. Damien, and in this case, you know, Rachel, you know, went along on that trip as well. And we want to, you know, think that these experiences have helped inspire them, you know, in their careers. So, you know, Rachel made a lot of reference to this. I thought I would show the same slide. We were just missing JJ from this particular picture itself. But, you know, in this day and age, you know, we recognize the fact, and it's not a question of excuses or anything else, but we do recognize the fact, you know, that we receive, you know, contributions and all from all parts, you know, of society, and our female residents, like our very diverse population of residents from all parts of the world itself, are a very important part in the development of a global community, and we're very, very proud of them. And they are absolutely second to none. So at this point, I just want to say a few words to introduce our new residents. And we have really three groups of individuals, you know, to introduce. In the top left-hand corner, you know, we have the class of 2024, you know, so we have Tyler Hill from UNC and Nicholas Branham from BYU. We should have had a third resident from the Canadian Armed Forces, Max Fournier, but unfortunately, his ability to participate in the program this year is a victim of the whole COVID issue, and so the Canadian Armed Forces, has asked to defer his residency for a year. So we have just 2 individuals in our 4-year program. Below that, we have the 3 individuals, who are enrolled in our 6-year program. James Park from Iowa, Steve Hengen from Kentucky, and Michael Nguyen from UCSF. And then, to the right-hand side of the screen, we have our 3 non-categorical residents, 2 of whom are actually very well known to us. David Conser and Bristol Galbraith are both graduates of our own dental school and people that we have known for a while. David Chubb is actually Canadian, and David has had the unusual sort of experience of having actually gone to dental school in Australia, in South Australia, in Adelaide. So a very interesting sort of background. But David is also part of our group of non-categorical interns who will actually function just like everybody else here on this screen as our 8 PGY1 residents for next year. So this is the group of individuals, who is going to carry a major load, for us. But hopefully they're also going to be introduced, to the profession very, very well. So, I want to just thank again our alumni. I have this slide up here, Bill Jordan, who graduated from our program about 25 years ago, very successful practitioner here in the community, a great leader, in our specialty, both at a state level and a national level as well. Call him the president for life because he really has held that job for a long, long time. And it's really through the support of our alumni that we've been able to do a lot of different things, including host this evening tonight, as well as to provide, some symbols of the training that we have had. So, Simon made reference, when he was speaking about Mike Woodbeck, about some of the different attributes. And so for each of the successful graduates to our program, the Alumni Association, presents to you this surgical chair as a symbol of your accomplishments. So this is not just a unique oral and maxillofacial surgery, tradition, but this is really something that is held to by the surgical specialties, and is reputed that it was actually a tradition that was started by William Halsted himself back at Hopkins. So the significance of the chair, other than the fact that it's a nice looking chair, which has, the seal of the University of Texas in the back and the resident's name, on a brass plaque behind, but the significance of it, and this is really for the benefit of our new, trainees, as well as the family itself, is such, that each component of the chair itself speaks, to something. So the chair is made of hardwood. The chair does not have a cushion because, the chair is meant to represent your career, and the career is meant to be sustaining and supportive, but not necessarily comfortable. And each leg of the chair, speaks to one thing. So one leg really speaks to the skill that we hope that the residents who are graduating from our program have acquired, over the 4 to 6 years that they have spent with us. Another leg, stands for the wisdom. And the wisdom is not only just the knowledge, but it's also the judgment, and it's hopefully the teachings and the advice, from all the mentors to know when it is appropriate to do something and when it's appropriate maybe not to do something. The responsibility to know that every one of your patients has entrusted you, with their care, no matter how small a condition or how large a condition. But it's a responsibility that you bear, and the responsibility not only to treat them to the best of your ability, but also to maintain that care regardless of what their circumstances are. And finally, if you have the skill, if you have the wisdom, you have the responsibility, and you have the experience, then you will have the authority to be able to command the ship as a surgeon as you're going forward. So these are all the various attributes that the surgical chair is meant to speak to. And we, the department, with the help of our alumni, gift every one of you one of these chairs. And we hope that you will use them. And every time you look at them and sit, upon those chairs, that you'll remember really what it stands for. So, Rachel showed this picture before. I took this picture last year at the graduation. We had the picture of all the graduating chiefs, and this was the group of individuals that we expected would be sitting on their chairs at this time next year. Unfortunately, as we have all talked about before, this was not meant to be, but, this is what it should have been. It should have been, a celebration of all the accomplishments that they have made. I'm hoping that this evening, as different as it was, is in some small way a testimony and an acknowledgement to all the great things that you have accomplished. So I just want to say some final words about a very important person, Kenny Allen, who has been our residency coordinator for a number of years. I know that all of you, have really benefited from her help, her assistance, and not only that, just her general kind and happy manner. Now, Kenny will be leaving us, in August. She was actually accepted to dental hygiene school. And so she is going to be able to go and become a healthcare provider on her own. We wish her every bit of luck. We are very, very sorry to see you go. But we are also grateful for the fact that you've agreed, to stay on in some capacity to help us, navigate this very difficult time. And we wish you all the best, So that's pretty much all that I have, for discussion. I want to thank all of you who are part of this call tonight for giving up, some of your time. And I want to thank all the presenters, the panelists, for the efforts that they made to put together this special tribute. I want to thank Simon, for all the efforts that he and Michelle made, to try to, adapt technology that we have not used ever before. It'll be very interesting, as we go forward. Honestly, as good as this night has been, I do hope that we're able to do things in person again, and I hope that it happens next year. My congratulations to all the graduating chiefs, to their families, for having stood by them and supported them. And it is my hope, that we all remain healthy, safe, and continue to do the good work that we have been entrusted with. So thank you, and I'll turn it back over to you, Simon.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Wong. I guess, I've been waiting to drink this champagne all night. So on behalf of all of us, the faculty and the guests tonight and the residents, thank you, Dr. Wong, for the authority, knowledge, skill, and wisdom for, emceeing this wonderful evening every year. So this was our inaugural, voyage, and this will be recorded. It is being recorded for everyone, so I will save it and share it with everyone, including all those wonderful well wishes and the chief's speeches. And congratulations again to all of you chief residents. We'll see you at work on Monday, but have a good night. And everyone, be safe and be well. And thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.